Welcome back to another episode of United We Stand, Divided We Podcast, or Divided We Put Up Walls and make it harder to go across the border between Canada and the United States. Yes. And we start booing each other at hockey games. Oh, I'm telling you, the final of the Four Nations is probably going to be pretty interesting, as it's almost certainly going to be Canada versus the United States. We'll get to that a little bit later. I'm Lionel from Toronto, Canada, and there's my partner right over there.
I am Robert from just outside Nashville in the US of A. I hope everybody's had a good week. So, real quick,
United
I
States
just kind of want
to,
the 51st state. Just something I want to kind of vent about, something that's been on my heart. So I just wanted to speak it because this whole Trump business is insane, right? And exactly what's happening is what I expected to happen when he came into office. Maybe not quite as fast as it is, because he's got his foot on the gas pedal and he's not taking it up, and he's using his pen and his executive privileges as his little sword of destruction. But first off, for any of my of our people out there who are believers, maybe you know God, maybe you don't, maybe you go to church, maybe you don't. But this is something that's been on my heart kind of this week, because I firmly believe, as a believer, that we are approaching the end times. I have read through the book of Revelations many times. I have studied it, and where in that process, I don't know. Nobody knows, because nobody knows the mind of God except God himself. But this is something that's been running through my mind. Matthew 24:6-8. And I'm reading out of King James, so it's going to be a little, hear ye. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nations shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. This is what's supposed to happen. So, I know there's a lot of people that's probably, like terrified of what's coming. It is a little scary, and this doesn't mean just sit around because it's supposed to happen. You do what you can do to fix things, make it right, whatever the case may be. I don't know. I'm not, here to cast judgment on anybody or anything. I'm just saying what's been on my heart. And while I don't like it, and I will cast whatever vote I can cast or do what I can do to change things, because I think they're going in the wrong direction, these things are supposed to happen. And whether we're 1 year, 10 years, 100 years, or it could be another 1,000 years. Again, nobody knows the mind of God except God himself. But we have no business taking over Gaza. We have no right to that. We have no business being there. We have no business doing that. What we're doing to Canada and Mexico is only going to hurt the American people as much as it's going to hurt the people in that country. I was reading earlier that, if all these sanctions in Mexico, it's actually obviously hurt Mexico worse than Canada, only because Mexico's economy is not as strong as Canada's economy. But
I don't know about that anymore.
Oh, it is. It is. I mean, it's going to affect everybody. All right. And so here's the thing. So one of his, I promises in his campaign was he was going to, lower the cost of everything and no more inflation. Inflation rose to over 3% in the month of January. It increased 0.5% when they only expected it to increase 0.3%. So everything's going up.
It can't go any other way.
Well, right. Yeah. I mean, I could tell you personally, I've got a notice from Verizon that my Verizon bill is going up. I just got a notice actually my wife's internet bill at her office just increased by $30 a month. And she's like, hey, why did this go up? I said, I don't know. Let me investigate it. I thought maybe like one of our, year discounts or something had ended. No, it's just they raised the rates. That's it. Right.
Yep.
that's happening across the board. Like, it's affecting everybody's pocket. Nobody is paying less for anything, and neither will you ever pay less for anything under the current path, right? And let me say, he says, oh, we have all the steel we could need. We have all this. We have all that. Okay, let's say that's true. Let's say that the United States resources have everything we need beneath our feet. Do you just magically bring it out of the ground and turn it into steel? No. That's not something that can happen overnight, right? Like he thinks it's going to happen. Like he said in California when he came into office, all those fires, he went into California and turned on the water. You don't think they had the water turned on in California? Please. That's ridiculous.
Sure.
So
you mean basically the Canadian water bombers that were there before he was elected?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Nobody wanted to turn the spigot on, and he went over there and fought, and he turned the spigot on. It wasn't easy, but he got that spigot turned
because
on.
he's had anything to do with it. I think people are gullible as hell.
Right.
There's more. There's more. Go on. Sorry.
No, I'm almost done with my little rant. But, so anyways, January had a higher rate of inflation. It's not going down. It's going to continue to go up. On top of all this other stuff going on, the name change is now complete for the Gulf of America. I just checked Google Maps today, and it's official. It's actually listed now as Gulf of America. Okay.
Yep.
I'm curious. Pull up your phone if you don't mind.
Oh, I already did. It says Gulf of Mexico / America.
Ah, okay. All right.
But it does say Gulf of Mexico / America, not America / Mexico. So, rest of the world still sees Gulf of Mexico. It's only Americans who apparently are insulted by the fact that they've never cared what it was called. Yeah. And incidentally, by the way, just to put this into perspective, it doesn't really matter if it is called the Gulf of America because it's still America. I mean, I live in America. Mexicans live in America. This is North America. The Gulf of Mexico was named as such simply because the Spanish named it after the country, which wrapped all the way around and went into what is now Texas and all the way up into what is now Nevada and Colorado, and not Colorado. What am I trying to say? New Mexico and in California. That was all part of Mexico when they named it Gulf of Mexico. So there was a good reason for it.
Yeah.
To me, it doesn't matter, but I will say this. Being named the Gulf of America still actually makes sense because it has nothing to do with it belonging to the United States of America. Sorry, I didn't mean to have to do the Dr. Evil thing. Evil.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we are talking about evil, but anyways, the Gulf of America still fits, so I don't really care, and I don't think anyone else is going to care 15 minutes from now.
It's just his idea of
his reasoning was bad.
His reasoning was bad. Thank you.
Yeah,
and his whole DEI initiative crap.
Oh God,
I don't agree with any of that either. Right. And I just read today, and this kind of disappoints me for Google. Google's online and mobile calendars no longer include references to Black History Month, Women's History Month, LGBTQ holidays, among other events.
Yeah, all of the big boys are bending over right now for Trump.
Well, they're all in bed with Trump. As a matter of fact, I watched.
Oh, I guarantee you, Sundar Pichai is not in bed with Trump.
I'm not a Bernie fan, but he's actually had some pretty interesting TikToks he's come out with some interesting facts.
So you said that more than once about not being a Bernie fan. I'm curious, what is it about Bernie that you didn't like? Was it just because he didn't have a party association? Or were there some things that you thought that he was wrong about? I'm just curious.
He's way too liberal for me. Okay. His policies, he's just way too liberal. Without getting all the details, it doesn't really matter at this point. But he's come out with some pretty facts that are like, wow, right? Since Trump has been elected, of course, all the big billionaires were sitting behind him in his inauguration. Bezos and Zuckerberg's wealth has grown over 20 billion each.
Yeah, of course.
And Elon Musk's wealth has grown like 80 billion. Grown. So now, like, I think, no, 140 billion. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know. The numbers are too big for my head to wrap around. But all these billionaires that are sitting behind him, that own all these companies that we're talking about, their wallets are just getting so fat they can't even sit down in damn chairs.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about it is that none of this should even be legal in the first place, because none of them have anything to do with politics, but they're all put into positions of power within the government of the United States of America as either advisors or actual positions in the government, and given, keys to things they should never even know about, yet alone see. And it makes no sense. And the thing is they're still allowed to run their day-to-day businesses. So now not only do they have all of the names of everyone in America because they have access to that, but now they have all of the legal names of everyone in America because now they have access to that too. Oh, and by the way, it should be interesting that I have now received in 2 days 2 separate letters from 2 separate banks I've never even heard of in my life telling me that I have a negative balance, because someone has stolen my fucking ID, not realize that I'm basically I'm not even applying for bankruptcy because there's no point. I owe the money one way or the other, and I just don't want to do the bankruptcy thing. But my credit rating is so low that Jesus could come by my grave, dig up my great grandmother, claim that she's never been alive, and she'd still have higher credit than me. There's no way that they could do anything with it. So the one statement just says 0, and the other one says -7 because of fees on 2 separate accounts that they tried to open, obviously attempting to open the accounts and then apply for some kind of credit or something else, assuming that, oh, well, look at this guy, steal an identity and you take a shot, man.
That's one reason why I lock all my credit bureaus. You can't even pull a credit report. It won't even give you credit information. So they can't even open a bank account.
Listen to me. That only counts if you don't owe money. Once you start owing money, that information is fully public. There is not a damn thing you can do about it. Anybody can get that information. And it's also easy to steal. See, because they don't get it from the credit bureau. They're not looking for people's information from the credit bureau. What they're looking for is somebody's hacked a site and they can purchase some information, or they get it from somebody else. And then somebody gets this information and then they just go down and they start trying to open on. These are, by the way, both of them were online bank accounts that they were trying to open. All doing it online.
Again, I assume it's probably the same in Canada. I don't know, but you can't open a bank account in the United States without providing a credit report. You have to put it in social. They pull credit report for you.
I don't know if you still have
automatically, like when you try to even do anything, it automatically says, "Oh, sorry, we can't do anything because your bureau is locked."
No, I believe in Canada that only accounts for a savings account or any kind of account where you're expected to be able to use it for investments or anything like that. As soon as you try to open any GIC, whatever all those investment things, anything like that, or if you try to open a U.S. money account, whatever, then you do have to do that. If I just walk in and say, I just want a regular account, I'm probably only going to cash my checks, pay my bills, and it'll go down to 0 every month. And they're just going to say, okay, well, you can try this account, and then all you got to do is give them your ID. But here's the thing: in Canada, that's all tied to the government because they have to basically send that. The government pulls that information when you file your taxes. They don't look unless you file, but once you file, they automatically look at your banking information to see if it matches. And it doesn't have to match perfectly because in Canada we have a lot of tax exempt things. Right. Gifted money is exempt from tax up to a certain point anyways. Right. Any lottery winnings, no matter how much you win, hundreds of millions you can win and no tax.
Well, it doesn't matter what kind of account you try to open in the States, they're going to pull a bureau on you. And so that's why I lock it at any rate. Now, look, I also want to say, as much as I don't like what's happening, as much as I think Elon has no business being in the White House under any position at all.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that there's not things in our government that are wrong. I'm not saying that things are, need to be changed, improved, corrected. I'm not saying Social Security isn't broke. There's a lot of things broken about it. I'm not saying that spending isn't out of control. I'm not saying any of that. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed.
Yeah.
But creating a coup on a government is not the way to fix it. Okay.
Yeah, of course not. It's not. It's not.
So, to me, that's kind of what I feel like.
Unless you live in a country where a coup is the only way, but a coup is not the way if democracy is still thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, they are stepping all over our founding fathers' principles and ideas of why they even created the Constitution to begin with, and they are completely ignoring it. And they're having complete disrespect for the whole process.
Yeah, and he's using loopholes that were only meant as minor temporary measures for emergency situations and treating everything as an emergency. And I have to say this in regards to the whole Ukraine thing, and I'm assuming you heard about that today, is his meetings with Putin now.
Oh yeah. He's supposedly
now he's saying, "Oh yeah, I think we can come up with a solution." And does this have anything to do with Ukraine, or are you just basic? Because I'm telling you right now, I'm going to make my prediction right now, right here, live. Except not live; it's recorded, but but close enough. I'm making my prediction right now. He's going to come up with something where he's going to say, "We're going to allow Russia to take over." First of all, you have no business. But he's going to say something along that line, something dumb like that, where Russia and the United States or Russia and him, because he talks about him, not even the States. Putin and I have come up with a solution. It's going to be good for everybody.
It's a great solution. Best solution.
It's a great solution. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. It's a great solution. And it's going to be Ukraine is going to have this piece of land. They're going to have to give up this part because everybody knows it was part of Russia originally. Didn't even belong to Ukraine. So they're going to get moved out. They're going to get moved out. It's going to be safe. And it's going to be made into a beautiful resort-like area for Russians and Ukrainians to go anytime they want. And we're going to be able to visit because we're going to have much better relations. No more Cold War. It's over. Cold War is over finally. And that's what's going to happen. And it's all me. I did it all. Oh, well, now I sound like somebody else. I did it all. Wrong president, wrong decade. But my accent started to change. It was a hint of Boston slipping in there for some reason. Anyways.
Well,
yeah,
anyways,
no,
I just, I'm kind of done with my rant. I just, I don't know. That's just
okay.
It's kind of been on my mind this week.
I totally understand. I get it. Yeah.
I'm just, I'm fed up. But it got a long way to go, and I'm not fed up to where it's like I just throw my hands up. I mean, honestly, I'm just a very small peon citizen in this whole process.
But I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not just worried about the Gazans there, the people from the Gaza. Yeah, I'm concerned about Ukrainians because now we're talking about millions of them in the huge plural that are all going to be fleeing to another country because of what? And there's been no announcements on it yet exactly, but we know darn well he's not negotiating that Russia just walk away. Oh, no. That's not what he does. And so I can end a war right now. Yeah, because you take sides with the other guy and you force yourself. And then he's going to say, we're going to send troops in to end it quickly. Like what now? These are your fucking allies. Oh, sorry. Overboard. I'm getting upset because you know what? I'm going to go into a rant. So we're not going to go there right now. Maybe we'll save that for after he says something stupid. Well,
give it a few
minutes. Let's go look at the tweets. I'm sorry, the X's.
Yeah.
So anyways, let's move on to something a little bit more pleasant.
Time. Yeah.
So do we want to talk about tech, or do we want to talk about how the Jets are the number one team in the league going into the break? I'm sorry, we'll bring that up another time.
I just want everyone to know that this is an awesome phone. I've absolutely loved this S25 Ultra.
I figured you would. I figured you would.
It's been great, and I finally, okay, I do have a gripe for Samsung. So they have a case like this that I originally got when I bought the phone, because they gave you some credits and that's all I could use it for, and I was like, whatever. And it had the charging ring and all that. The buttons popped out of it.
What?
Yeah, the buttons on the side, like you see those buttons?
Are you kidding?
Yeah, so
wow.
I mean, they popped out. So because I went to hit my power button one time, I'm like, wait a minute, what? There's like a hole there. I'm like, wait a minute, where's the button?
Oh man, that's not good.
I mean, it's not the phone button. It's just a button. It's just the part on the case. I'm like, what? Anyway, so this is this is a case from your favorite manufacturer. I finally got in today. It's not the one I wanted, but the one I wanted still like a month out. So I'm like, okay,
this is the one you really want, but I'm
no.
And, I just love this. I love this case. What do you want me to say?
But it's there's a lot of people complaining about it online because it's just not. It's like, come on, Samsung, you can do better than that. You could have created a better case than that. First off, it's way too slick. It's like slipperier than the phone is. If that's a word.
Slippery.
Yeah, but the phone has been fantastic. Great battery. The screen's bright and pictures are awesome. And yeah, I like some of the AI features with the pictures and all. It's really cool. So yeah, and I really enjoyed it. So I don't know if you've seen this. We both use Gemini all the time.
Yeah,
I have read today that Gemini Deep Research is now rolling out to the iPhone app. First off, I didn't realize that the iPhone app did not have it. I thought it was.
No, they didn't. I mean, they still had access. They still had access to it, just the same as anybody else using a browser, right? But they didn't. And when you think about it, it was only a few days. We only had deep research for what, a week, 2 weeks in the app. I mean, like as a wide rollout, it's maybe 2 weeks at the most. So that's still pretty quick. Usually, when there's a difference between the two, it's a long time. If you're getting that message from me with the two videos. The one that's a full 16:9 is important to see that one.
What? I was looking to see.
You didn't see it. Never mind.
What's changed in the app?
Which app? Gemini. Oh, the Gemini. Yeah.
Yeah, because they now have Pro experimental, Flash thinking experimental with apps. They have a bunch of stuff they've added over the last few years.
And it can actually get a little daunting and confusing for someone who doesn't really understand how it works. So breaking it down pretty easily, if you just want to ask it to turn on the lights, how tall is Kobe Bryant, for whatever reason you might want to ask that question. What year was Christy McNichol born? Sorry, I'm just dating myself now. Who's the best team in the NHL? Stuff like that, right? That's did I throw that one in there? Anyways, then yeah, your Gemini now 2.0 Flash is actually better than the previous 1.5 Pro. There is a caveat in that it has 1 million token. I was going to say range. That's not the right word for it.
Limit.
Thank you. 1 million token limit. That's not like per day or some weird thing like that. That's literally how much you can throw at it at one time. Once it answers your question or does whatever calculations you need or whatever it is you want it to do, it's then totally open to another million tokens up to. 1.5 Pro, of course, had a 2 million token limit. So the 2.0 Pro experimental also has a 2 million token limit. But again, it's an experimental. So it misses a few things here and there. And when it is ready, it won't be as fast as Flash. Flash is lightning quick when you want it to do something. And it can do almost anything the other models can do faster on a smaller scale for the most part. So if you want to do something where you like, oh, I've got to do a lot of this research and I have to do this paper for my university degree, but I need to learn, not just have it do it for me, then use the deep research and read everything, and then put it into Notebook LM and organize it. And AI is a great thing if you use it responsibly, and you can end up getting great grades and become a phenomenal engineer, or get into medicine and become a great doctor. You know.
And then now they've added
research.
The Notebook LM. Was it Pro or Advanced or something like that? Is now free instead of paid.
Yeah.
So
I didn't even know there was an advanced version. To be quite frank with you, I had no clue.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of looking forward to finding out about that, because I've enjoyed messing around with it, and I've done nothing serious with it yet. I'm still thinking about maybe one day taking one of the topics we want to talk about in a future podcast and actually putting it into Notebook LM, or having the research done, like a lot of research done with Gemini deep research, and then having it cut it down short enough to make it look like something like a 10-minute segment in a podcast, putting it into Notebook LM, and then having Notebook LM do the automated podcast voices. And then as putting the segment in, just an example of how good it actually is, because it honestly sounds just like you and I talking to each other, except it's a man and a woman instead of a man and an American. I mean, sorry, a can American and Americanan.
Yeah.
Oh, can the States.
American, and I like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. So
I wonder if he's going to start putting tariff on our podcast. Charging us extra 10 cents every minute.
I'm surprised I'm not being charged right now, because I'm using something that I have to log into an American site. So I should, well, actually, no, you should be paying a tariff. You should be paying a tariff because my video feed has to go across the border. So it should be costing you 25% of nothing, but nonetheless 25%. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. Okay, listen. Did you get the notification of the share I sent you in Google Photos?
Oh, I don't know. Let me see.
It's important I say this, because obviously me having to do this from my phone, I can't share anything. And I want you to take a quick look. Actually, you don't even have to necessarily take a quick look at it. Just know there's no foul language or anything untoward. But there are two videos. One is a regular 16:9, and the other one is an ultra widescreen 2.35 ratio. It's kind of harder to find them now. But here's the thing. I think you got to do it on the computer, because I want you to be able to put them up here.
Yeah,
and I'll explain why in a minute. What's the matter? Can't find it?
It was on my no. My, you know how you can change accounts? It was on the wrong account in the app. So
I did that once before, and I was like, "What?" I said, "Why is this crap happening? Why am I doing?" And then I realized that I was basically getting ready to delete a bunch of stuff from the account that we use for this podcast. And I was like, "Oh no, stop!" Almost deleted a bunch of emails and stuff, and get ready. What's going on?
So no, I don't have any notifications. I actually went in.
Oh, I don't. You know what? You might not see it that way. You might have to actually just go into the shared thing, which they changed it.
Well, I did, because I didn't have a notification. I did go in the share thing. That's why I was in the app.
Well, that's weird that it's not. How do I? Is there another way to share this thing? Because maybe it's because I just did this add thing instead of share. So I'm going to actually hit the share button this time. Well, no, it's okay. Oh, I didn't hit add. That's why. Now you should see it.
Yeah, there it is. All right.
Okay, so here's the thing.
You're on the phone.
All right. So if you are able to pull that up on the computer, and I'll explain before you actually put it up what they are. I actually don't want you to watch it yet. I want you to be just as surprised as everyone else.
Well, so I need to check it on my computer then, not the phone.
Yeah.
Remember last time we did this, it borked out your feed. So hopefully,
you'll still hear me. It's fine, because you'll turn it off when it's done. If you have to hide me,
the last time it jacked up your feed.
Well, maybe I should hide mine temporarily or something. Once you get it ready, because I have to talk about it first. And maybe that was just a glitch that one time, because we've done this before and it didn't, as you put it, bork it out completely. And worst case scenario, if I get lost and we still have more than a minute and a half left, I can come back in. I can just leave and come back. It'll fix the problem. Just so as you know, always restart. If you're into tech, you already know this. So that's why I got to do the radio voice and say, if you want to, instead of getting anything brand new, just restart. Your car broken down, just restart it. Your house burned down, oh, that's not going to work. Never mind. And before anybody thinks I'm being insensitive, my house has burned down, so I did lose everything. So, self-deprecating humor sometimes, right?
There you go. All right. Okay, I'm ready to share it. I've got the tab open. It's on a separate thing. So I actually have both videos in there so I can play them one at a time here.
Okay, so you have to have the 16:9 video ready, and I will explain it just before you put it up. Well, you can stick it on the screen now and just don't push play yet.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're both like in the window. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Okay. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. All right. Yeah. So going with the 16:9, which is going to be the one on the left, right? As you can tell, because the other one's ultra widescreen. What I did was, and I was trying to do a little experiment because I don't have a computer, so I can't use DaVinci Resolve. So I wanted to see what kind of work I could do pretty much as fast as possible in editing, and maybe even trying to do a little color correcting. And I used the Blackmagic camera app, which is available for both Android and iOS, by the way, and it's incredibly robust. I shot it at 24 frames per second, and I put a LUT on it, thinking it would be easier to just dial it down than to add color. I might be wrong. This might be a really good opportunity for us to actually try to duplicate something similar like this, although not necessarily as corny as you're about to see. That maybe Robert could actually do something like this for next week with his own phone, but using the help me out here, the flat profile. Well, I can't believe it. I'm having a moment now. Log. Sorry, shoot it in log, and then just add some color to it. Again, you don't have to use Blackmagic design software. You can do it with CapCut or whatever other software. It's obviously better off to do it in something good, but there are alternatives and stuff that you can use to do it and make it easy. Anyway, so don't judge me on my acting abilities or lack thereof. This is just about how it's going to look and sound straight from the camera with a LUT, mind you, and how it's going to sound when it's edited and look. So go ahead and play the 16:9 on the left side first. Listen, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. If you are looking for a ransom, I can tell you I don't have any money. But what I do have are a very particular set of skills.
Okay, Liam Neeson.
I have acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. If you let my daughter go now, that'll be the end of it. I will not look for you.
Good movie, though, by the way.
But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you. And next.
Okay.
Go straight into this. This is the edited. Colorized. Not colorized. I mean color corrected and all that. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
If it plays. Watch it not play now and ruin everything.
It's definitely taking longer to load than the other one did.
Wow, that's crazy. It shouldn't. It absolutely shouldn't.
Let me refresh it.
Oh, that sucks if it's not going to... Oh, there we go. Oh, great. I have no audio. Oh, you got the audio muted. I don't have any money, but what I do have... Go back to the beginning. A very particular set of skills. Listen, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. If you are looking for a ransom, I can tell you I don't have any money. But what I do have are a very particular set of skills.
Music's way too loud.
I have acquired over a very leave it. Skills. That was my mistake, but that's not the point. People like you. If you let my daughter go now, that'll be the end of it. I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. and I will kill you. Now, think about how that looked and sounded from the first one versus the second one. This was done in 15 minutes on a phone, shot on a phone, edited on a phone, uploaded on a phone. So imagine if you actually took the time to learn how to do it, use even the slightest better software, or even just take your time and do it better. And also, don't shoot with the LUT. Shoot and log if you have a Samsung S25 Ultra, or the flattest profile you possibly. Hey, it did go bad. Look at that.
It's not as bad as last time. So
no, it's not. But if it doesn't clear itself up naturally, then I'll just I'll let you rant for a minute, and I'll get out and come back in. Not a big deal. And as a matter of fact, I think I will do that. But in the meantime, before I do that.
It's actually clearing up, so I mean, you can.
Not that much, but basically, the bottom line is you see what I'm saying? I was bringing that up, and just to put this into perspective, and I'm a Pixel fan. I'm a Pixel fanboy. I'll only buy the Pixel. But if you actually have any idea that you might want to shoot a lot of video and you maybe want to do something creative like that just for fun, or maybe trying to practice to get more serious about it, then you basically have two realistic choices in North America. You can do an iPhone, which does shoot log, or you can get the Samsung, which now shoots log as well. So if you're an Android person, there's an option for you right there. I do believe that the next version of Pixel should have that. And if they don't, wow, they need to get smacked upside the head real hard. But other than that, yeah, if I can do that well, but you saw the difference, right? The audio quality, and all I did was it was change volume and add music to it. Unfortunately, I added the music a little bit too much, but I only noticed that after, and I didn't want to redo that part of it because again, it was just a demonstration of my lack of acting skills.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows that the S24 does not have log video; it's just the S25. So.
Right. It starts from there. And from this point on, I suspect that next year it'll be beyond the Ultra. You'll be able to get the log in lower versions.
Okay. Well, if you're going to go out and come back in to fix your video, you should go ahead and do that.
Yeah. I'm going to do that right now. As soon as I figure out how to make this work.
And I'll sing and dance while you're gone. No.
Sing and dance. All right. I got to figure out how to actually get out of here first. Oh yeah, I got to do this and just close the tab.
Yep. Okay. So, all right. Until he comes back, you're stuck with moi. But yeah, like he was saying, these new phones these days, man. Oh my gosh, the things you can do is, I mean, almost anything within reason you can do on your phone. I've actually edited some of my talking head video stuff, not for the podcast, but for a different channel on my phone using, I was using CapCut, but I actually stopped using CapCut because I'm afraid it's going to get banned again. Because even if the US decides to do something with TikTok and allow TikTok to remain, it doesn't necessarily mean that all of ByteDance's software is going to be excluded from that. So even if TikTok is around, CapCut might still go away. So I've stopped using CapCut and I've moved on to a program called VideoProc Vlogger. And they recently came out with an app. They recently came out with an app that is not quite as powerful as CapCut, but for the things that I do, it's more than capable. It can do 4K export. No cheers on that one? Okay, I was waiting for that. Cheers.
It's a little slow on that one. Sorry.
Anyway, so yeah, like he said, these phones these days, man, they're so powerful and they're so feature rich, and which is one reason why when I got this phone, I decided to go with a terabyte of space as opposed to 500 gigs, because I didn't know if I was going to be using it more, and I didn't want to end up like running into space issues.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that either.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it was an extra like $100. I mean, it wasn't like a huge cost to add
Hey,
that extra 500 gigs. But
in the old days of computers, you'd get to a point where you're like, oh, I don't know if I mean, I know I can get X amount of hundreds of gigabytes, but then everything's going to slow down. I won't be able to get my files, and I'm going to have to defrag more often. And then, oh no, okay, I can do this, but now I'm going to have to start building a RAID system. That's not even a thing anymore. I mean, seriously, you got a terabyte, and the chip for the terabyte is about the size of your thumbnail.
right.
So it's it's very fast. And by the way, it might be very fast, but it's still nothing compared to the speed we're going to see in about 4 or 5 years. Because when the next generation of actual RAM comes out that is way faster than what we have now, then we're still going to start seeing the speed of the drives getting closer to the speed of the RAM. Yeah. That's always the case. It drags back by about 5 years because they don't use it for that, right? It's kind of like GPU technology. GPUs are way better than CPUs. That's what they use them for, data mining. But at the same time, there's certain processes that they don't do, right? So that gets sent for GPUs and other stuff like that. And eventually over time.
For all you non-technicals, GPU stands for graphical processing unit. And CPU is a computational processing unit. It's more like
at one point brains. It was actually referred to as a central processing unit even, but yes, that wasn't necessarily correct. Anyways, that's basically, sorry, I should have assumed that I shouldn't have assumed, but nonetheless, now I've lost my train of thought, so I have no boo on here. I'll just have to go gasp.
Well, I was going to tell you too. You kept talking about LUT. I think you should explain that because I'm not even sure what that is. Nobody knows what that is.
All right, a LUT is called a lookup table. It's LUT for short. LUTs are something you use in both photography and videography when you're doing your editing. All of the edits that you put in can be saved as part of a lookup table. That lookup table can simply then be named, just like any other file on a computer or any kind of operating system. So you might name it Autumn Spring or
Autumn Spring.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. You might name it something weird, Blue Hour or Golden Hour or Falling Leaves or Red Mist or something. I don't know. There's all different reasons people call different things. Now, that's mostly in photography. You're going to see stuff like that. In videography, you're going to see lookup tables or LUTs that are going to be called things like Kodak 2383, which is a film stock that's used, or is it the film? Yeah, it's the film stock. And then there's other ones that are going to be called like silver screen or soft black and white or harsh shadow or whatever it is kind of look you're trying to get. So if you want something that looks specifically like a movie, you might do edits on a film scene to look as much like a specific movie that you have seen, and then pull that back. Now you can actually get the screenshots or screen grabs from certain movies, and the softwares like DaVinci Resolve will actually read all of the colors and everything that's in it, and you can save that. So when you actually put that into and on top of, you can create a now lookup table on top of that and just make whatever adjustments you want, which is why, even though they seem like really complicated softwares, they're actually remarkably easy when you get to know them. But lookup tables can be added to some softwares directly into iPhones, if I'm not mistaken. You may be able to do it on your phone because it shoots in log. It may be possible that you may be able to put LUTs right on your phone. I'm not sure. But again, the Blackmagic camera app is absolutely 100% free. It's available iPhone and Android. and you can actually import lookup tables or LUTs directly into your phone, and you can use the same LUTs on your computer with DaVinci Resolve, with what do you call it, Adobe Premiere, and the same LUTs also with whatever that iPhone, or not iPhone, I mean Apple product is. I can't remember what it's called. The famous one the Apple people use. And they're basically all the same thing. They're called .cube, and there are different types of LUTs that can be done also that you can use, and most of these softwares will either open those or convert them into the cube or whatever other one they want. And
yeah,
so
I'd have to check it. I don't see anything right off the bat, but I mean, it might be buried in a setting somewhere, but I don't. And I have the
I'm going to ask
Pro
Gemini
video, but I don't know if it's, I don't know what you have to do.
Does the Galaxy S25 Ultra allow you to import and use LUTs or lookup tables directly on the device, or do you need third-party software?
Based on my information, the Galaxy S25 Ultra does allow you to import and use LUTs, lookup tables, directly on the device. Here's what I know. Log video recording. The S25 Ultra supports
okay,
log video recording.
yeah, we already know that part. So it's gonna go on and on for a while. I love Gemini, but sometimes it's a little long-winded. It's telling me the part I already know about. Expert Raw app. The Expert Raw app, which is available on the S25 Ultra, likely has features that allow for more
Expert
blah, blah,
Raw.
blah.
I know what app they're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where you have to get it. Okay.
Yeah, but it may be thinking about specifically photography. I didn't specify videography in that, so I may have boo-booed in not asking the question right. I'll find out later. Let you know about that, and we'll give you this information next week if you haven't found it out for yourselves already, because it is interesting. So
yeah. I mean, obviously, with your photography background, you know a lot more about that than I do. I'm a infant photographer,
infant photographer,
which is why I need a device like this to just basically be a point and shoot. Do some AI correction because I need it.
Well, point and shoot is great. 99% of the time, that's what I do with the phone. But sometimes it is nice to be able to just dial something in the way you want, because sometimes it takes a picture and you're like, I'm glad that I can see some into those shadows a little bit, but I didn't want to be able to see that guy sitting in the background more clear than I can see my wife standing in front of me. So you can dial that back so that your light is light and your dark is dark. And that's what manual controls allow you to do.
Well, you know what they say, the best camera to take a picture at the moment is the one you got.
The one in your hand.
Whichever you got.
That's always true.
Yeah. And I didn't know you were married. Are you married?
Excuse me?
You just said if my wife's standing in front of me, and I was like,
I was talking in reference to if it were
hypotheticals? You. Oh, okay.
You missed that part.
Yeah, sorry. I was like, wow, you didn't even invite me. Of course, I might not have been able to get across the border to come, but
no, you'd get across the border. There'd be a tariff on top of it.
Cost me $900 to get into
Canada.
No,
it wouldn't, because you're the one coming in. I got to pay the tariff.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
We got to educate people.
So it's going to cost you $5,000. It cost me $900 to go back. I see.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, Lord.
Insane.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That's all I have for today. If you have something else that you wanted to discuss, we can.
Well, you know what? Just for shits and giggles, let's bring up the whole Four Nations fiasco cup tournament, whatever it's called. Simply because, are you kidding me? Four Nations. That's disgusting and stupid and insult. I understand why, because of the whole Russia-Ukraine thing. Ukraine can't field a team. Russia doesn't deserve to. All that kind of stuff, right? But I think the thing is why even bother in such a situation? It's like, you already know that the best players in the world, other than the ones we don't get to see from Russia that aren't already playing here, are pretty much going to be. But out of those four nations, what do we have? We have Sweden and Canada, United States, and Finland, I want to say. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I just said Finland. I'm looking at it right here.
So basically, we already know those are the best four nations that are allowed to play internationally right now. There's no other teams that aren't. So what is it you're trying to do? You're basically running the risk of injuring guys who play in the NHL while they're not playing in the NHL. And you're taking away from the pockets of people trying to make money in those cities. A lot of people think, oh, those teams are just getting rich in there, but they're paying all these guys millions of dollars. But there's still people that sell hot dogs and drinks who aren't doing it for 2 weeks, and their teams are not on the road. What about the teams that actually are just about to go on the road? So now they don't play for 2 weeks, and then they go on the road for a week. And there's people who have to make money. I know it sounds like I'm ranting about something that sounds trivial, but if you're the guy who relies on that job and can't work for 3 weeks so you don't get a paycheck for over a month, wouldn't that kind of bug you just a little bit?
So, just so you know, by the way, Canada is beating Sweden 2-0 right now. It's the end of the first.
Oh my God, I forgot it was on today.
And I'm looking at the I'm looking at the game center, and because it's an intermission, the computer screen has two little Zambonis driving around the ice rink. It's kind of cool.
Oh, nice.
I was like, wow, they got Zambonis driving around.
Are they in second intermission or first intermission? I have no idea what's going on.
First intermission.
Oh, they started late? They must have started late. Oh, yeah, I guess 8:30 or something. That doesn't make... Oh, I know why. Because international, blah, 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 blah. So they're not thinking about Eastern time. They're thinking about all the way through North America. They're not as concerned about the times across the ocean, because they're either going to stay up or they're going to record the game and watch later, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
So I will be able to watch part of the game, at least, if I can find out where it's playing, because I haven't got a clue. No one's ever mentioned it.
According to this
advertised
right here,
in this country,
TNT, True TV, and Max.
Well, that's for you.
No,
we don't have any of those north of the border, and if we did, we'd probably have to start paying a tariff on it.
But as I said, according to this that I'm seeing, that's what it's on. So what it's on for you, I have no idea.
Where can I watch the Four Nations Cup in Canada?
The Four Nations Face-Off is a hockey tournament featuring Canada, the United States, Sweden, and Finland. Here's how you can watch it in Canada. Sportsnet. This is the primary broadcaster for the tournament in Canada.
So if I don't have Sportsnet, I don't get to watch it?
If you don't have a Sportsnet subscription, either through a cable package or Sportsnet Plus streaming service, your options for watching the Four Nations Face-Off in Canada are limited. TVA Sports will be showing the games in French, so if you're...
TVA Sports, so I can watch it in French, again, with the exact same package that you have to have in order to get the other one in English.
Well, I mean, you might not be able to understand everything I say, but you can know when the puck goes in the net if you can watch it.
Not if you can't see it, because it's the same subscription as the English one. So that made no sense. And listen, I have no idea how they say it, but it comes out something. So apparently a boo or la boo or something. Now you see, I'm going to do Gemini again. How do you say he scores in French?
There are a few ways to say he scores in French, depending on the context. Here are the most...
According to Hockey Night in Canada.
That's a great question. You're thinking about the French language broadcast of Hockey Night in Canada, which is called La Soirée du Hockey. In that context, the most common way
it's giving me a whole lesson.
Commentators say he scores is il marque. This is the most common and widely understood way to express that a player has scored a goal in hockey.
That's not true at all. Every time they score in hockey, the French broadcast always yells something that sounds like le boo or abu or something. It's spelled B-U-T, like the word butt.
You're absolutely right. My apologies. I was focusing on the literal translation. and miss the colloquial hockey term you're referring to. You're thinking of butt, pronounced like boot. In French Canadian hockey broadcasts, when a goal is scored, the announcer very often yells butt. It's their equivalent.
No, he's not even remotely correct. But a boot. No, none of that is true. That was the most racist.
Is it like the
come on, Jim?
Is it like the Hispanic broadcasters in soccer when they go?
Yeah. I don't know if you actually yelled and your thing kicked in, and because it just went dead silent.
Yeah, it did. The noise.
Yeah, basically they are more like that. So I'll give you this. In soccer, what you're trying to say, and no one's going to hear it because your mic system working like it's supposed to, is they might be saying, and Ronaldo come up to Ronaldo's like, go! It'll go on much longer than my lungs allow.
Like
what you'll
minutes.
hear in French, and again, my apologies to French Canadians everywhere. I love going to Montreal. It's a beautiful city. I've been there dozens and dozens of times. I was born there, for crying out loud. But I don't speak any French. But what it sounds like to me is and yeah, so it's very similar. Whereas in English, most of them try to copy, at least in somewhat, the original guy. What was his name? Something Foster? Oh my God, I'm not even a Canadian anymore if I can't remember this. But he's the one who's coined the term, he shoots, he scores. But it was always a scores. Like there's only a little bit of that, right? One of the greatest, I need to segue this. One of the greatest ever, I will say this right now, is I can't remember his name. God rest his soul. From Pittsburgh. He was the one who would say, cut out, or how do you say it? Slash my neck with an hacksaw or something like that. I can't remember how he said. He would say something about weird terms. It said, "Hey, he shoots and he scores," and it's like he had so much personality. And the guy who called the play-by-play for the Canadian broadcast for the, I think it was still called the Canada Cup back then. Canada played the Russians, and Howard Chuck won the draw. Gretzky gave the puck, and got the puck to Lemieux, gave it to Gretzky, gave it back to Lemieux. Lemieux scored. So to put this into perspective, this is how the broadcast would. He says, and Canes win the draw. It's over to Gretzky to Lemieux, back to Gretzky. Gretzky over to Lemieux. He shoots, he scores. Now Lemieux had scored about 3 seconds earlier. But this guy's decide the way he did it, he would always finish talking. So the puck went, it was kind of like, here's the net, here's the puck. He goes, Lemieux, and Lemieux gets in and he shoots, he scores, and they're already celebrating behind the net for 3 seconds by then. And the difference between that and the guy who used to call the Jets broadcasts, Kurt Keelback, the original Jets 1.0, and sometimes you'd see him on TV, but most often it was just radio. And he'd be more like, and Howard Chuck, in over the line. Howard Chuck, he shoots, hits the post. It goes back to Elliott. Elliott scores! And he can cut himself off mid-sentence. Howard Chuck now scores! And it was just, so everybody's different. And that's what I love about hockey. But the French-Canadian broadcast doesn't do that. They kind of do it the soccer way. So I know I ranted a bit there, but what the heck? We had a couple of minutes to go.
You went way off on a hockey in Canada night tangent.
Yeah, I forgot a couple of names, and so there's going to be some Canadians out there going to say I'm not true Canadian because I don't remember.
Well, you're close to the border, so the U.S. are starting to rub off on you. What can I say?
United States of Canada.
Yeah, it's already. It's already.
Who is the man who did the hockey broadcast for HockeyNet in Canada that coined the term "he shoots, he scores"? I'm gonna kill myself for not remembering this. By the way,
man who coined the phrase
Foster Hewitt. I knew it was Foster something.
Yeah, see, in Nashville, when we score, we say he shoots, he scores, you suck, and we then proceed to chant the goalie's name. And then we say you suck, and yeah, that's definitely a Nashville thing. Yeah,
yeah.
Cool.
And it's cool. And also, I will say this: Nashville does have the coolest goal song ever. I don't care what anybody says.
I like it.
Been,
I love it.
I love it.
I want some more
of it. I mean, like, how do you not like that after scoring a goal? I mean, you don't even have to like country music. It just fits. You know, like some of the other music that other teams have been playing for years. Ugh. It doesn't fit. It doesn't work. You know, it's not exciting. But that is. I just wish you guys heard it more than 3 or 4 times this season. But
yeah, it was funny. Many moons
probably trying to forget the words now, right?
I got pulled. I was walking down the breezeway, and somebody said, "Hey, you want to sing for your supper?" And I'm like, "Huh?" It's a thing they used to do with a local restaurant called the Charlie's. And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And so what I had to do was they would start the goal song, and then in a section it says about. I don't know what it is about the Predators scoring, but I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. And I had to finish that sentence. And of course, I sing it every single time we get a goal. I scream it. Let me say that. I don't sing it. But when you're standing there and there's like 10,000 people all watching you on a Jumbotron, you're like, what are the words? I didn't like ruin it. I actually did it pretty well.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I did that. Okay. Yeah. But that was kind of fun. It was kind of cool.
Yeah. I don't know how I'd react. I think back in the day, I didn't have the same kind of, I wasn't able to, stand in front of a camera like I can now. And I know this for a fact because I've had, a couple of times, like when I was doing a broadcast course, it was actually radio broadcasting course. But somebody that was working at one of the public television channels, you remember public television?
Yeah.
Not PBS. I don't mean that. I mean like, the channel 3 or 7 or whatever city you're from that. Right. And it was all local stuff. And I think Weird Al did a movie based on that kind of crap. Big cities had them for sure. Small cities always had them. Yeah. Anyway, somebody was doing what they did it as a talk show. And they would bring somebody on to talk about, technology, politics, whatever. And they asked 3 of us if we wanted to be on. And we're all like, yeah, are you kidding? We're trying to get into broadcasting. Why wouldn't we want to do this? It's only public television, but yeah, let's do it. So we go down to the station because they have a station and then we find out we're not doing it in the public thing. It's actually going on the local station in the city. So potentially 1 million people are going to watch. Yeah, they won't, but it's potential, right? So we get into these ridiculously high chairs as if we were on, Phil Donahue or something. Phil
Donahue, that's also dating me right there.
We're going to be talking about this particular piece of technology and this stuff and the blah, blah, blah. As soon as we get ready to get started, the guy comes over and says, okay, we're going to be talking about politics and RSPs or something like that. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm 19 years old. I haven't got a clue what you're talking about. And they go, action. And the guy starts talking, does this stuff, and he turns around and he says, all right, so we're going to ask the first person, what do you think about this subject? And he points to me. And I'm like, I'm going to defer to my friend here.
I'm going to defer to my
word for 25 minutes. It was so embarrassing, man. I had no idea what to talk about. And now, in my defense, there was no preparation. Well, you can't in that particular situation because they were actually talking about a subject where you had to know something. It's like if you suddenly said, let's talk about networking right now. There are things I know about networking and things I have to shut my mouth and listen to you talk. Because it's just, that's your thing, right?
Well, you could have sat there and said, well, Bob, let me tell you, I got some ideas on that, Bob. My name's not Bob. I'm on the wrong show.
And to put this into perspective, only a few years earlier, if you go back about 5-6 years, whatever, I was in school and I was asked to come up and everybody had to take a turn and come up and read part of a passage from a book. It was a technical book of some sort, right? Something to do with school. And so I got my turn. I went up and I went, I was just terrified in front of these people.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, even with all of that, and even doing one of those public shows as a producer and producing segments, a couple of ones, one from a firehouse museum that I did, and I did a half decent job, whatever. But even then, all that nervousness was always still there. I did a radio broadcasting course after the fact, after school in a different place, a different school, and it was great. But I still had that. Oddly enough, it took another several years when I suddenly decided to get into wrestling. And what happened was the very first time I had to do anything, and I could get out there and do my manager thing. I wasn't yet wrestling. I was training, but I was doing a manager thing. But I didn't have to talk. And then eventually I was going to have my first debut match. And the guy mispronounced my name. And it had something to do with trying to make it sound like I was a long lost brother of Jennifer Lopez. So he called me Pilo. No. The name didn't start with a P. It was supposed to be Hispanic. So you should do the math on that. Anyways, I got in the ring and I grabbed the mic out of his hand. And I said, "Get the hell out of my ring. That's not my name. Don't you ever," and I went, "and any of you idiots ever call me that." And instantaneously they started to boo and actually chant the name I told them not to say. So that actually got me completely out of the thing where I felt like I had to be nervous. I mean, I'm always nervous, but it felt different. It was completely different from that point on. I knew if I talked, I could just entertain. I didn't have to be me doing it. And that was the best part about it. So if I act like an idiot in front of you, you know that it doesn't matter if it's me or not. That didn't come out right.
No. And
I'm
on
just
that,
kidding. We should probably go, yeah.
That's time to end on that one.
You had the rant at the beginning, and I had the running at the end.
Yeah.
I'll call it that. The rant and the run. That'll be the new name of the show. But we'll see you next week, and we'll talk about something just as tasty as today. I'm Lionel from Toronto, Canada.
I am Robert from the U.S. Well, until we are U.S. Canada, that is. Peace out.
I was going to say peace out. Peace in.
Bye.